Well, two col. The track you're hearing is from the faculty sound team. It's from the game East, the Oath of Felghana, and it's called Valstein Castle. Yeah, this track is pretty epic. It's like a symphonic metal sort of piece, I guess, almost power metal, I guess. It just works so well, and there's some great instruments in this. It's a great composition. It's just quite a fun track to listen to. It's epic, obviously. Never disappoints really with Falcon Sound Team. It's quite a different sort of track though, given, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how early this game was actually, to be fair, so I don't know. But I enjoy this track by the way. Solo's interesting. Yeah. Let's move on to the first topic. So, apparently, Hoyoverse copied a game from an indie developer. Like, what the fuck? I know they take inspiration from other games, but this is just kind of blatant copy. And what's really frustrating is this came out in 2024, this actual game. The Hoyoverse added this minigame to their, also on their events or something, about, what's it, this year I think it was. And they copied it exactly. Like, it's very fucking uncanny. I don't know how to describe it. It seems to be a game where you bend these lines to connect the dots, but you have to do it in a certain order, which is also kind of cool. Also, I've not seen that concept for a puzzle game before, and yeah. But I think it would have been better if Hoyoverse literally just got into contact with the developer and said, hey, we want to use your game for ours, with ours rather. Was it okay? And you know, that'd be it. There isn't much to that, so I don't know why this even had to become a controversy. It's like the easiest thing to do. Although, to be honest, because you're a billion-dollar company, it's probably going to be harder to communicate that and prove it. So there's probably some official way to actually prove something like that. But yeah, so they literally blatantly copied this game, and I've got it. I'm going to try it at some point. It's on my phone, but it looks very interesting. Because it's basically more like a more creative connect the dots sort of thing. You have to do it in a specific order. It says of 120 handcrafted puzzles. It's very simple visual as well, so it's not overwhelming at all. And I think it's also just naturally blind accessible as well. There's light on a darkish background, which is impressive. But yeah, the Blue Sky algorithm blessed me today with that. Because I was kind of curious, like what the fuck? I barely hear anything about Hoyoverse anymore. It's mainly because there are toxic fans around it and stuff, and ironically, I think they still exist. You're not allowed to criticise the gacha because it's allowed, apparently. Even though it's blatant gambling and FOMO, and if you want to get anywhere in the games you have to gamble. Which isn't fun at all. Even then the unlocked characters are complete garbage. But again, this is also such a bizarre situation. It really feels like it shouldn't have existed to begin with. It feels so easy to address, and even then it's easy to sort of apologise for it as well, I suppose. They could have revealed maybe at certain points that it is inspired, or even mentioned it, that it's inspired by this exact game. But no. But also if this guy puts up a fund to, I guess, sue Hoyoverse, then I think there is a case. Because it is literally copying the homework, like, to the T, I think. And they didn't really change it up a bit at all. So it's just very bizarre. yeah. I don't really know what to add though. It's just, oh, it's so shit. Why is Hoyoverse even like this? It doesn't make sense. You know, I've got tons of problems anyway, just by virtue of existing. Cause I think it's different when they copy an actual of course when they copy like a big game like Pokemon, for example, turn-based moves and stuff. Although, did they do Pokemon? Ethereum Wars technically was like a Pokemon style thing. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember how you got the playables. I can't remember what they're called actually. But it's different when it's a big company versus an indie developer. This is what just baffles me about this. It very much seems like a thing where this is the only developer, as far as I'm aware, and also could be wrong, that actually developed a game like this. So as far as I know, in terms of the type of games out there, yeah, this is like one of the only few. Literally, there can't be any others unless, again, I'm missing something here, because this could possibly even be copied from something else. But if it's not, then I don't know. So there needs to be a compensation for this, and I think the most absurd thing from this is you got a bunch of idiots responding to the game saying that, oh, this guy copied Hoyoverse. Not really. Well, I mean, I don't play any Hoyoverse games anymore. But this was released before the bloody event. It's released in 24. And that minigame was released in 2025, so it's happened last year. I'm guessing the developer didn't even know that Hoyoverse did it the first time around. Which is also quite harrowing, I guess. So it only came to their attention recently, which, I don't know, it's like very concerning. But I think if people want to, you can support the game. It's called Hoyoverse. Yeah, honestly, this should be a bigger controversy than anything else, and I'm almost tempted to go to the subreddit and post that. Oh, fuck it now. They post drama bait on there sometimes, so you know, this would be no exception. I think it's almost like it will trigger a bunch of people, no doubt. People saying that you copied them, you stole it from them, and that isn't even what's happening here. They literally created it before them, so he has more of a case. I'd be curious if there could even be a lawsuit with this, as I said earlier. I imagine there might be some compensation here. Merely probably like a penny for Hoyoverse, but not for the developer. Yeah, there's potential for this to work out, but also not so much. It's just a really annoying situation, and it makes me glad that I got off Hoyoverse games, because at a certain point they're obviously running out of ideas with things, it seems, hence them scouring indie developers and stuff for this. Although to be fair, because it is a mobile game, I forgot to mention that, or it's on mobile, and that's also how I got it. But that's probably where they found it, in order to copy it. Because I imagine there's like mini games on there, and it's also cheap, that's the thing. On Steam it's like £5, and I think on phone it's about £4, which is bloody bargain. Yeah, that's surprising. I certainly like that aspect. Yeah, obviously I hope everything can work out for the developer, in the developer's favour, obviously. It's a small indie developer. I don't know if it's just the one person or multiple, but it's impressive either way. But also, in another way, you can also take it as a big compliment because they liked the game enough to copy it. Because can you imagine the amount of shit puzzle games that probably are out there? There are probably quite a few. So it is also in a way an honour to have that. Of course, it's not the best situation, but yeah, it just is a compliment in a way. I just hope that players catch on to it. I'm curious. Let me look at our such then. This Zone Zero subreddit then. I'm curious what's on there if there is anything. It's NSFW, same character again. It's basically all NSFW. Yeah, the fuck. It literally turned into a Gunu community. Fuck. This is just nuts. What the fuck am I even looking at? Everything here is just Guna material. Jesus fucking Christ. Also not a single guy. Literally some of the worst fucking Gunas. It's so weird. Yeah, nothing about the controversy, it just seems to be artwork. Just real shitty. So how big is it anyway? 294k. Okay, it's not as big as like Genshin Impact's. Damn, that is disappointing. Also, it's just real shit. It's usually a discussion. I don't know if that's any different. Hoyoverse going all in on AI. Sure. Go ahead. I'll do well. Yeah, I'm trying to look. Is there anything else? Nothing on the discussions either. And that's DZZ official, but is it? It's just more fucking Guna stuff. Jesus Christ, these communities are awful. Well, there's a time and a place for these fucking SFW artworks. They literally do not belong on here. And the fact this is the official is just... yeah, that's baffling. And there's a lady with dual physics saying hard to skip, right? More Guna shit, like upskirt shots. Yeah, it's real fucking creepy. Even like saying this animation is good as not. Actually, that's probably one of the worst animations I've seen. Ugh. Yeah, it's enough of that. But either way, don't really have anything else to add to that. Just felt like bringing it to people's attention, and hopefully it will get enough attention because this, frankly, is absurd. I'm hoping maybe other channels will report on it. Like, oh yeah, there's probably other sources too that probably report on it. It's a disappointment either way, just to see this shit happening. It's daylight robbery essentially. A game as profitable as Hoyoverse games and Zone Zero. That is just a massive injustice, and then this indie game gets barely anything. It's just fucking nuts. I cannot understand that. Anyway, I'll move on from this topic. So no, that'll be a big one. Just finished the movie My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, okay. It's just a bit weird actually. It feels like the names are mixed up anyway. This movie was kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie. When someone comes along that's almost as dangerous as Shigaraki, it's kind of... yeah. That's something new, I guess. Am I wrong in thinking that? I don't know. But I found the movie quite good. It was entertaining in areas and different in other areas as well. I think the idea was definitely decent, although a bit weird in areas, I guess. Like, the idea of them being at an island to literally like just oversee it, like protect children, run a hero sort of division thing to deal with villains and stuff, where there are villains, because apparently there aren't many. And yeah, it's kind of interesting from that perspective alone. I think that's commendable in its own way. Hang on. Sorry. Let's do that. Yeah, I think I liked a lot of it anyway. A lot of this movie. It was definitely better than the first one. The first one was just strange. It didn't really deserve to be a movie, honestly. But yeah, it still needs some improvements here. Animation, because voice acting is about the same. And the story is probably the best part of it. Where even though it's like really basic for a story, and again could have been done episodically, which has to be said, it was reasonably fun though. It wasn't like painful to watch, which was probably a biggest worry of mine when seeing this. So yeah, it kind of worked out in the end, I suppose. Did what it needed to, and had a pretty unexpected ending in some ways, and moments too. Some predictable, some not so much. Especially the climax of the final fight, which obviously there will be. It's pretty much expected at this point. There was the fucking My Hero Academia about the fighting. But also an interesting enough villain as it is. Yeah, I can't really think of much else about this. Yeah, it's just one of those things, I guess. It's just a decent movie. I think if you're a fan of My Hero Academia, I can certainly recommend it. But only if you're a fan. It's probably not for people who don't know what it's about or not familiar with it. And this seems to sort of take place with the reveal of All for One, I believe. I could be wrong. So I don't know where at this point the movie is, but I know that All for One and Shigaraki are actually getting big attention in this movie, and that you're already meeting the other villains as well, or the villains. So there's also them. But there are completely new villains here as well, which is also sort of a downside, but it kind of works either way. Yeah, not really many parts lazy about it, but it's interesting. But I can certainly recommend it if you're a fan. It's probably the only criteria it needs. But there isn't really too much else with other things from what I could tell. So yeah. Don't really have anything else to add here, so I'll move on. Well, it's another movie. My Hero Academia. World Heroes Mission. Yeah. It's good. I can't say I disliked it. I think it just was good in everything and didn't really have many bad points at all. I think the only bad point I can really highlight is probably the story was a bit slow in areas and just, and not necessarily dragged out, but it did feel a bit odd in places. It's like it could have been done a bit better. Maybe there could have been backstory. Maybe there could have been better explanation for the things going on. And yeah, Rhodey as a character, interesting bloke. And also they invented a country just for this fucking anime, which I find extremely weird. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. It was between France and the UK, I believe. It's like on the outskirts, or rather between Spain as well. But it's weird. This is what I thought it was. I could be wrong. I swear they just invented a new country. But yeah, it also has some things going for it. The animation is extremely good. It's probably some of the best 2D, 3D animation I've ever seen. It's actually insane, and how long it goes on for too. Like, it's just absolutely nuts. I ain't really seen anything like that before. It's kind of special in a way. But I really enjoyed it for that. And some bits later on, I guess, are pretty good. It's a really interesting reference to, I won't spoil it, but a certain 80s classic. But I think everything else was just decent. I did enjoy the story. The character's good, and the voice acting was just decent. I wouldn't say there's anything special, except maybe the earlier screams in the movie. Also, it just jumps right into the action. I forgot to mention that. That's one of the things that kind of makes it interesting. It's just immediate jump into the action and no questions asked, just into it. There's already a story, already things going on, a bit of slice of life, and then going into more things. So, yeah, like it just isn't. I don't know. I'm trying to think what to say here. Yeah. Again, it's more of a My Hero Academia fan sort of thing. I don't know if this would appeal to anyone who doesn't know what My Hero Academia is, but for some reason they had an intro where they introduced half the cast, I think, which I'm not sure why they did. It seems a bit confusing to me why they did that. Felt unnecessary, like it dragged out a bit. So I don't know why that happened. And as far as where it takes place, I think it takes place during the Shigaraki stuff. Or is it that I think it might be Desmond actually. But for some reason, like in the last movie, Deku has Black Whip, but here he has that as well. But it's hard to determine because you don't actually see the ability somewhere. You see that Todoroki has his fire ability. There's no spoiler because you'll just see it. And I'm not sure if Bakugo had it in the last movie, but he has a howitzer ability. So I'm not sure. It's hard to determine where it takes place, but I guess between like seasons 5 or maybe 4 and 5 are probably the safest. If I had to guess, I could be wrong. But yeah, as far as a recommendation goes, I think I can recommend it to, once again, the fans. Like if you're just craving more My Hero Academia, it's probably for you. Really enough, these movies build on what's essentially a crappy series. Because even though it had its positives, it definitely was a crappy series. It didn't have a great story in the anime up till about season 4, I think, or season 5 maybe. When they started introducing the Shigaraki backstory, which is really when it got good. In my opinion, it's one of the fucking darkest stories there is, I think I've ever seen. Also the saddest as well. It's actually crazy. Yeah. I don't think there's anything else to add to this, so I'll watch the last movie and then move on to Vigilantes after that. What's this other thing here? I'll watch. Oh, it's just a search. But yeah, I'll watch the next movie, which is You're Next. So I'm kind of curious about that. It has an interesting idea behind it, so I'm curious what it's about. Yeah. Let's move on. You just had to do that. Because I'm talking about a thing I tried recently for my Crohn's disease. You probably know where this is going. My biggest worry and fear about going out in public from my anxiety is just shitting myself. Because I have to hold it in so hard that it just comes out anyway. I've had leakage issues before and they are bad in a way. They're not horrible. Like you can get over it in like a public place, so it's like as long as you're not close quarters, you're safe. But recently it's been a bit harder to manage going out because of it, and it makes me unsure and uncertain about the future. So I think when it comes to going out for periods of time, I'm going to have to attempt to wear something to mitigate that. So the solution I have, that I got told really, well not really have, but told, is wearing a protective or padded underwear. And this is my first experience ever wearing that. Obviously I don't remember when I used to wear diapers as a kid, and I imagine it's quite bad because apparently I had quite a few accidents. Hell, I even had one in primary school. That may be where the Crohn's disease started, so who knows. But basically, I've had the need to get this and try it. It seemed sort of urgent given the amount of issues I have, need to address. So it felt very important to do that. And so you've run into this issue where I had trouble finding the right pair because there was nothing for my size, and on top of that there were issues finding something that can support both ends. Because a weird side effect of Crohn's disease, which surprisingly isn't listed, but I think it can impact you, is urinary incontinence, I guess. So it's not like the back side where it's a bit worse, but the front side, sometimes I think there's a blockage. So you have this part where you're inflamed, and I think I've noticed this when I tried to play myself in the butt. It seems to be inflamed, and it can lead to what is essentially frontal incontinence, and where you start to pee and it comes out, you think, okay, there's nothing left. I pretty much exhausted it, but it is dripping a bit, just pretty normal to be honest. But then it turns out that that's not all, and then it all just comes out. Well, not all of it, not tons, but enough. It's noticeable. So we run into an issue there, obviously, which just really fucking sucks. Like, it's terrible. So, yeah, to have both addressed means I'm a bit safer in that sense. So after that, obviously, I managed to find a pair, or bunch rather, and I'm going to give it a shot. And I did give it a shot. Not whilst out, but I simulated the experience of being out. So I tried different things. I'll start from where I started really. Putting it on, I was a bit worried because it felt tight around my waist. As I said, there aren't really many sizes. It said like 46 to 52, so I don't know what the fuck the deal is with that. I am 48, so it didn't even really fit then. But then I got to my first problem, and it felt tight around the crotch area. Strangely so. And then thin around the back, which is also very unusual because I haven't worn underwear in God knows how long, I think since childhood, because I just phased out of them. I went to boxers instead, because I thought it was causing the issues with my sort of stinging pain, because I used to have stinging pain in my pee-pee. I don't know where that came from, but it started in childhood when I started to generate semen, and you know, just kept leaking out every now and then with a bit of stinging pain. And then I suppose like yeah, it sort of persisted until after I found out about masturbation, because I didn't know back then. I didn't know when I first had it, and yeah, anyway, so putting it on, it just felt tight. I don't know, but only later discovered that there are butt flaps. So you have to put it on the right way. What the fuck? Like, it's just so dumb. What? That does not make sense. Like, how ridiculous is that? So that was a problem. I didn't even realise. So as far as I know, the thing that I'm struggling with there is actually addressable by turning it around, flipping it over. And it didn't even clock though, because I'd never known that they had those. To me, it just looked like a pair of underwear that you could put on either way. There wasn't any like label, like front or back, so that failed. So that wasn't good. Yeah, so I went about my day. I went as usual, and I tried to like close my legs, obviously, with this to essentially simulate what it's like to sit in a car, because this is obviously where I have it, and it's doable. I'd say it's like the best and most comfortable thing, but it is literally doable, and that's a good thing. But also keeping my sack in front is kind of difficult in these because it's expected that you're supposed to dangle them or have them like one in front of the other, but I don't know how to do that comfortably. And it did just sort of cause a dislodging to some extent to literally what the fuck is this? New speaker? I don't know what it is. Yeah, it just felt uncomfortable and then I changed it and it sort of stayed that way rather. And yeah, kind of frustrating really. So I don't know what the deal that is exactly. It didn't feel tight though, that's a weird thing. The padding just allowed for too much like dangling, I guess, in a way. I guess it was almost like big. But yeah, it was fine sitting down and stuff. It sort of felt comfortable after a while. Didn't really notice I had it, which is honestly a big praise for that, I think. But then, you know, I was going to the toilet and stuff, and it wasn't that tight, surprisingly, around my ankles. So it turned out fine, I think. Just wasn't awful. As well as smell and stuff, I couldn't tell if there was anything, because I seem to be struggling with smell lately. I don't think there was any problem, really. So that's a good thing, I guess. So at least there wasn't any smell even later on when I go into more things. Putting it back on and stuff, that was a bit of a problem. But only a minor issue. Because the elastics on the top are so fucking thin, it folds in on itself. And so you have to put it right. So it's like actually against your body. Like flat against it. Which is an issue. Easily adjustable but again annoying. So it's kind of meh. And I'm sort of mixed on that sort of thing. So later on I have a look at it and I forgot to look at the back because I meant to do that. But the front has a problem as it's padded. You can tell it's padded because I was told you won't be able to, but it is. I'm not sure if that's because of my weight or what, but it can be a problem. So people might start to get different ideas when they see that your crotch is sticking out, which it is not actually. Are you happy to see me, or is that a padded underwear in your pocket? Is it padded underwear in your pocket underwear? So yeah, so it's a bit weird. I'm not really a fan of that, I guess. But the back I can't really tell. I did sort of feel around and it didn't really have much of an impact. From what I could tell, it's hard to say. So yeah, that was fine. And then I decided to simulate what it's like to walk about. And I did a 1.8, 1.6 speed actually on my treadmill, which I know is kind of low, but the problem is I had 5 hours sleep last night, so it's generally not a good idea to exercise too much because I'm already going to be tired. So I've had a fake sleep from 5:30 to 7. I know I woke up at 4, I don't sound right. One of the sleep times was off, which is interesting. Yeah, I did not have a good night. That was obvious. I was also panicking about spiders and stuff, which is really frustrating. I genuinely can't stand them. Yeah, they seem to be everywhere. I don't know what the fuck is going on. There never used to be any, but suddenly started to come out. I have no idea where they came from. So I'm possibly going to get like I don't know, not a pesticide, what the fuck is it? Some sort of control thing, but someone to look at this because I can't stand this anymore. It's getting too much for me. I'm worried about getting cobwebs because I just run into them and I feel it for like hours. It makes me fucking panic. Very uncomfortable feeling. Anyway, I did exercise, so it was interesting to see. I didn't really check when I did it after, but sort of imagine it. And exercising and walking wasn't too bad. I think if you have a bigger package, you're going to struggle. Mine's about just above average, I think. Well, I swear it's a bit smaller, but apparently it is above average. But yeah, it's a bit weird in that sense. So I think it worked out fine there, even with it the wrong way around, which probably would have been more comfortable. And then I went to go and take a bath, and that was important. It was cold, which is nice, but didn't help that much, to be honest. But I got used to it, and yeah. And I checked, and what do you know? I was having issues down there, which is not fun. So it's very weird. It seems to be that I'm cleaning up after myself a lot when I go to the toilet, but it seems like I'm not cleaning up enough. So there are these markings in there, sorry for the detail, but that is what's happening. And I feel a bit gross. And also walking around with that, yeah, I'm not sure. You'd have to have a shower after that, because I honestly don't think that's very sane or optimal. So I find that very weird. Yeah, it's a bit weird. But smell, it did not smell good when I took them off. It's like, ugh, okay, that's a bit bad. So the moment you take it off, you probably have to chuck it away. I'm not sure about leaving it to dry though, that's the only problem. I don't know if you're supposed to leave it to dry a bit before putting it in the bin or what, but I don't know. Again, this is like my first time using one of these ever. But yeah, overall it's like not a bad experience. Also, the comfort wise about 6. You barely notice it. It only really moves when you adjust it or do something to it. So you just go to the toilet. And then what else? So it's a comfort of rate 6 out of 10. Size has to be like a 4 out of 10. I'm not 100% sure it was the right size for me. It certainly worked, but it just had a lot of issues there. Feel, again, I didn't notice it. And surprisingly, it's quite warm. I forgot to mention that. It gets quite warm now. Wearing this during a heat wave here, it's like 28 degrees outside. And it did get warm. It got sweaty in there. I'm getting sorry for the detail. Can't help it. Yeah, it just wasn't great in my opinion on that. So a bit of a problem there. And yeah, appearance, as I said, it's a bit mixed. So sometimes it makes a look on you, and then sometimes it doesn't. And also because I'm very self-aware and stuff, I'm worried about people knowing that I wear it. So it's kind of an issue there as well. I think for the most part, it's probably like your best bet if you're going out into public for long periods of time, because I think you can manage even during a heat wave with very minimal effort. I have noticed from just this spring alone, actually, I was like sitting in a house, it was about 20 degrees, and sat there for about, same seat, 2 hours and a half, I think, without moving, and I was making a smell from my boxers, which was not great. And I had a similar thing actually when I was going out another day, which wasn't even too warm. It was like a t-shirt day, but still made a smell. So things like these can help. But I do wish there was like a simple way, like pads that you could just put on. I don't know how you do that, like maybe tie it around or make a knot or something. There has to be some way to make it work. Because I imagine there's probably some options out there. I imagine something like tying a knot around the sort of edges around the things. So, you know, on your boxes, for example, you've got the middle, and that's going to be your pad. And then there's these string things around the sides and stuff, which are elasticated as well, because I think that would be helpful. But you just tie it around the edges, and yeah, I guess that would work in a way. But for boxes, I think it'd be better to have it like centered, so maybe in a different way for boxes, maybe even like an X shape across the other hole, and that would probably keep it in place. So yeah, I don't know. It's a very weird scenario now. I feel like sharing this because it's something quite personal, I guess. Not that I can help it. Because with all this stuff, I just cannot help it. It's something that happens naturally. And if I'd had these about 4 or 5 years ago when I was starting to have these issues and making those horrible mucus smells, fucking hell, they're awful. It would have been better to have it then. Obviously, it's today, it's now, and you know, there's not really much difference. Just different scenario, obviously under stress. I'm planning on going to doctors at some point. Yeah, it's not a fun scenario, as you can probably tell. Just a big struggle again, and another thing to sink money into, which fucking sucks. Because I need to get things done. Like, oh, I've got to support this one, support this, buy this. I'm not sure yet because it's kind of bloody hell, it's expensive when it is. Then what's this? Oh yeah, the fucking air filters. Clothes, which I don't need yet, but it would be good to have at some point. Deodorant, won't need that yet. All those are sort of needed for summer. And this, yeah, a lot of money. Again. That's just fucking tape on there. So I found out my thingy, what is it? Mosquito net for the window is sort of broken a bit at the bottom. It's very weird. I need to cover it up somehow. There is a proper gap there. But I'm almost tempted to get someone to sew something on there, like a double tip. Because that might be better for opening and closing it rather than this fucking magnet system which doesn't work. It's just dumb. Let me just look like what am I looking at? Mosquito net. Net for the window, and then big size. Because if there's a zip option, that'd be far better. Less stressful, easier to open, and yeah. Let's see. Most of them are magnets, which is fucking annoying. They all just look the same. Is there anyone doing anything fucking different? They're just putting it on top of random images. Jesus Christ. It's just terrible. Actually nobody doing anything different. How's it connected in the middle of that? Front from being bone open. Is that right? Is that how that works? No, it's magnets again. Those are the fucking magnets. Let me guess, these one. Magnets. Useless. They don't fucking work. Here's one with zip. I don't know if it's the right size, because I could potentially order that. Damn useful though. I think it might be worth replacing. Unless it's on with like a Velcro. Yeah, there's a tape of it, so it probably is pins though for some reason. Not sure why you want pins. The fuck? Why would you want that? That genuinely doesn't make sense. Because what are you pinning? The Velcro? Huh? God, I don't know. You can fit reviewers. So they sort of backtracked. That's perfect, and then there's a cat trying to escape. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, anyway. So that's obviously a padded situation, so yeah, let's move on. Before to say about my padded on, about specifically like the cost of storage and stuff, the size. I got a 32 pack and it cost me, let me check, it wasn't too bad a price considering what it offers. 25 quid, or 26 actually, rounding it up. That's not bad. I was sort of expecting worse for that. But yeah, given what it offers, it's kind of decent. I don't know if they maybe used to be cheaper, there's a possibility that happened. But yeah, I can't really complain about that. But where there is a complaint actually is to do with storage. Because these are quite padded obviously, or wouldn't they be? There is the issue of storage, and it turns out that this isn't very easy to store. Because you kind of want to keep them together, but the problem is, I don't think you'll be able to. Because the issue you run into is when you try to store them, they're quite big, they're quite thick, and they'll take up room. That even includes, obviously, just keeping the packing as is. But what I did in the end was I took it out of the bag and put it in my dresser. So basically it's in there with the rest of my undercarriage stuff. So it will benefit from being in there. Also it's quite easily accessible and it's hidden. Not that people go through your underwear drawer, but if they do, hopefully they'll pick up one of them. Yeah, it's a very strange thing. Because I never really considered it. Never really considered the storage aspect, and that was like an afterthought really. Well, didn't really have an afterthought. So I didn't even realise I could run into this as a problem. So it's quite interesting to think about really. Because you never really think about that. I don't know why it never crossed my mind, but it just didn't. So it ended up being fine in the end, it turns out. Trying to think what else it was. Let's say size, it talks about. Like, I can't really think if there is anything else on this. You know, that's the gist of it though, it's just one of those things again. It's sort of a niche product, but it has its purpose. And for sure it's for like people like me with actual physical health issues where there is a possibility of just shitting myself. So I don't know. But that's what like, don't talk about how I felt mentally. So I'm aware of it, but I'm also worried that people maybe know that I'm wearing it just by maybe moving on to sound. I didn't talk about that. I can't tell if there is a sound, it's only when you really ruffle it or get close to it, you sort of start to hear it, but other than that there isn't really much of a sound, because the only thing that moves is the side bits, rather than the padding. So there isn't too much of a bad sound, it's not too bad. So it's not really an issue, luckily. I would have possibly expected it, given that's just how dodgy these products can be sometimes. I'm pretty lucky that it's not. So yeah. Is that it? Probably. Oh, how much did I fit actually? So I've got a, what's it, 50? I think it's like 50 or 55 centimetres dressers wide, and I think it's like 50 out. Maybe it's actually 80 and then 50. I don't know actually. I'd say about 45 like depth, and about say 8 per drawer for some reason. It's not a very large drawer. It's really shit designs. For some reason they always do that. there's not much room between, so 10 centimeters, I guess. So 40, 10, and I guess like 45, 40. I'd say about 70 then. I can't remember the exact model I got, but I already have like a bunch of boxes in there and socks as well. They just about fit half the pack in the drawer with already some stuff in it, and there's more in the socks and boxes and stuff. So it turned out alright to fit in there. I think you'll be able to get some in as long as there's like, imagine like a few squares of room. So I'd say it takes about, so I can put a comparison of phone maybe? Depending on your phone model, if it's one of the more up-to-date ones, obviously like a Samsung smartphone, take about 2 side by side and an extra top to fit in there, I think. But maybe like 2 extra layers, so it's like 6 phones in total is how much room one of them would take. And so you have to stack that up somehow and fit it in. So it's not easy, obviously, but it's something you can try if you're storing it and trying to hide it. Not that there's really any shame in it. The thing I have to add as well, I guess it's like more of a discussion, is there's not really any shame in having these issues, I think. Because from what I can tell, it's not really controllable, there's no cure for it. So if anyone hates the fact that you smell like shit or you smell like piss, that's not really your problem. If anything, they're the ones causing it as well. Because stress can be a factor. So again, there's no problem with it. And the fact you have to wear it is not really a reason for shame anyway. If they do take problems with it, then they should take it up with themselves, not you. It's sort of the same thing I say about other people with different issues. Like, there's probably, I don't know if this is true, for example, but I'm pretty sure it's an issue anyway that occurs, but trans women, for example, probably want to hide any sort of like bottom dysphoria that they have, so they probably go with something that really packs it in, so it just shortens it. They don't want it to stick out as well. So it depends on the size, but it doesn't really matter that much. I wouldn't be bothered by it personally, but again, just bottom dysphoria is probably too much to handle at times. But imagine that's something that they have to do, and there's no shame in that either. Sometimes you just have to do these things, and whether people like it or not, it's just what you have to do. It's a them problem if they don't like it. So yeah. Don't really know what else to add, to be honest. I think I've pretty much talked about everything here. Yeah, I just found this entire thing kind of interesting to talk about. So yeah, let's move on. Well, I just finished My Hero Academia. You're next. I thought it's a bit weird given this came out almost just after season 7, I think. Actually quite a while after, I think, but yeah, this movie's a bit odd. It has some interesting moments, for sure, but I mainly label it all as like good but nothing special. I think it's really a dumb story in my opinion. Really the characters are interesting, but that's what it is. But this entire thing around the story with quote unquote dark point, which you'll find really early on anyway, it wasn't what I was expecting, but at the same time it's not surprising. And it's so fucking cliche, and we don't even learn anything about this character, about their power. Like, what the fuck even is Dark Knight's power or quirk? But I cannot figure that out. It's just so weird. So I don't really get it. It's extremely strange. I look at this, it just makes me wonder what they were thinking with this movie. You know, that doesn't mean it's bad, it's just okay, I guess. Maybe not good, but okay. Animation can be a bit mixed, I wouldn't say it's a peak, but it is decent. I can't complain about it, as long as I have to lay on my toes. For some reason they've overgrown a bit, gave me a bit of a goosebumps for whatever reason. Which is weird. Anyway. So yeah, I think it's the same scenario again. I think if you're a fan, it's possibly worth watching, but at the same time it's also kind of pointless. So if you are just like on the fence, like I was maybe, about sort of My Hero Academia, it's probably not for you. I'll be honest here, it just isn't. I think if anyone's a die-hard fan of it, then yeah, there might be something here. Not really much fan service, but there's a lot of heroes in this as well. There's some interesting villains which are with that. I mean, there was one interesting way that they were dealt with, which I found pretty curious. So yeah, I guess it's just a good movie, but again the recommendation is quite difficult to recommend depending on the sort of thing you're into, the things you're into. There is certainly a fair amount of action, but it's also just a bit lazy in areas as well. It just feels a bit kind of off. I ended up being unable to focus eventually because I was busy doing something else, and the fact that that took my focus away from this is probably a concern. Yeah, because I was kind of like happily doing these other focuses, but just on the background. But this, I don't know, just became very concerning. So yeah, wish I could see my toenails. Probably annoying doing fucking toenails itself. It's not even that overgrown. It's just really uncomfortable for some reason. Fun fact: I had an ingrown toenail as a kid. Bloody horrible. Weird smell. Horrible to look at. Horrible to get done as well. I remember that. It's just nightmarish, and also the transfer. Like fucking hell, I walked out of the operating room waiting for someone to pick me up, and I was like in my fucking barefoot in these really crappy sole things, like sole shoes I've got there. But to stop like the passing germs and stuff, I think, like protective stuff. But it's genuinely awful. I never want that again, ever. Yeah. Anyway, that's about it. So let's move on into Vigilantes. So The Witcher 3 is getting a new expansion? Yeah, I can't believe those ones are coming out now. What? But then again, it sort of makes sense. I've sort of figured it when I saw the title. It has to be a way to bridge The Witcher 3 to The Witcher 4, so which hasn't come out yet. But enough, they did something similar in Borderlands 2, didn't they? So I remember Gearbox making a bloody sort of expansion before the release of Borderlands 3. It was like a endgame thing, something where Sanctuary fell. I can't remember actually. What the fuck? Oh well, you probably won't even realise this thing. It's so insignificant, but I'm pretty sure that bridged it a bit. So I'm wondering with this expansion of The Witcher, again, like, what exactly are they going to do with it to make it different? Because it's an expansion rather than what people are saying is like DLC. The difference being an expansion is an additional part of the game, and the DLC is obviously a transaction. So you're just getting one thing in return. But an expansion obviously implies more things happening in the game. So I'm very curious to see what that's like. And also where it's going to take place, but I'm hoping that they take inspiration from the books as well, because my biggest disappointment with The Witcher 3, in the base story anyway, is to do with how it really felt like one of the book stories just written a few years later. And it wasn't very creative from that perspective. And also I bet like Sapkowski regrets not getting in on this, because I remember hearing something about him and he was sort of given the Witcher series to CD Projekt Red, essentially given the rights to them. And he sort of said like, he probably thought it wasn't going to do well, and obviously he wouldn't want anything to do with games. And I think he said he thinks games are a bit stupid or something. Like what? It's fucking weird. Even though the books are genuinely good, it's just such a bizarre thing to say. And a bizarre way to act as well, for the matter of the fact that he sort of acted out of spite when the game actually did do well. And it just felt very petty in that sense, like really shit. It's just bad behaviour. But obviously without Sapkowski behind the wheels, essentially, it's kind of worrying in a way. Not that it made an impact on Blood and Wine or Hearts of Stone. Oh, Hearts of Stone, to be honest. The fuck has happened to my voice? So weird. Yeah, because those had great stories and great areas as well. I love the fucking expansions. Blood and Wine, probably my favourite expansion of all time, as far as they come. At least the rare times that they come anyway. But yeah, I really love Blood and Wine. It was seriously something else. The entire aesthetic of it, the amount of stories in it, is just absolutely amazing. Also the amount of endings as well was kind of interesting. There's just so much of it to like. Really explore the fantasy element. Especially remember that dream sequence in the main story. You go to that place where there's like a fucking tower. It's so good. There's literally hope they do something like that maybe, or explore another part of the Witcher universe. I do sort of think there's a lot of potential there with exploring it. Because there's obviously more places to be found, to see. I'm wondering what they might do. I'm guessing it could be something to do with, what is it, Nilfgaard? I can't remember their name now. You know, I was going to say black guys, but for fuck's sake. The Black Crest, I guess you call it. Some people with that, the Black and Yellow Crest. And I think it was Nilfgaard, but we still have to explore that area, so it's maybe like Vizima. But also, is it called that? What's the expansion actually called? Is it Songs of the Past? Because that could also give us a clue. Let's see. Look at the video again. Where is it? There it is. Songs of the Past. So yeah, we might actually be seeing a story maybe come to life. Or they're potentially... Yeah, you know what, they actually might be doing it. They might be putting a book story into the game. So, for context, and this goes a bit spoilery in the books, obviously your discretion is advised. One of the reasons I had so much criticisms about The Witcher 3 was because of the story that basically existed already without at least Valstein. Valstein wasn't in the story of the books. But it was just the same thing. It was Geralt chasing after Ciri to save her from Emir, who was doing some weird fucking incest, I believe, if I read it correctly. So there's also a possibility that we're exploring that creepy side. I don't know, also she was underage, I should mention that. Yeah, but again, if it's like Songs of the Past, then it might explore this, but it might also explore the aspect of, I guess, did Ciri have her powers before? I can't remember. It might be exploring that, it might be exploring Geralt's past as well, a bit more than obviously we saw in Cameron. God, it's been a while since I've been into the Witcher stuff. I saw the Netflix series and hated it. It's not as good as books, so trust me on that. Only the book has gems like Villain Trettenmurph and yes, I can say that name. Yeah, books were truly special though. Either way, I think it has potential. We have to wait and see. Apparently, there's a live stream tomorrow, so I'll probably react to that. But it's a good move for them to announce it as the leak happened as well. I think that's generally a good sign, because most companies would just be like, oh, you're fucking leaking our shit, we're gonna sue you. Instead they just said, you know what, let's announce it. Which is honestly the most mature thing you could do. Not just as a company, but as a person, depending on obviously who it is. I also think that's just a good idea. And it sort of makes me wish that we had leaks for, not leaks, I mean announcements and reveals for other things that have been leaked. So whether it's like a remake for something, or something like GTA 6, which has massive leaks apparently. I've never actually looked at them, but I honestly just don't want to look at it out of respect for the developers, because even though I'm curious and I'm really interested in the game, I'm just curious about just what it would be like. But I know it's just going to be an alpha state, just judging by the stages they're at with this. But I just don't want to look at it because, again, it's out of respect for the developers for the work they've done on this. That's the thing that really pisses me off about leaks. Unless it's a live service game where you have higher stakes and you're putting money into it, like Genshin Impact, Hoyoverse games and shit. The gotchas, really. Then there isn't a reason to get leaks. Also, it's a bit stupid that these even happen still, and it seems to be more frequent nowadays for some reason. But it's just completely unjustified. What's going on with this desk? It keeps making up jumping noise. I don't know if it's like my arm or what. I bloody hate leaks for what they do sometimes. I remember in the Hoyoverse game leaks, I think one of the worst things they tended to do is reveal pretty much the story, and also reveal like other aspects like the amount of dialogue. There are so many weird things with that, because it's also a cancerous community, and the only thing I can really get on board with again is that character leak stuff. And I'll admit it, I did look at them, but that's because I cared about the fucking value that I had. So when I saw that, for example, the Farina leak, I was like, wow, she has so much potential. And she did. She still performs really well as far as I'm aware. But it's the same with Nahida. I was like, okay, game changing, but then I looked at Corin and I was like, nah, doesn't look like it's going to do much until we see the numbers, and then she still wasn't really relevant. A better electro DPS, but not great. Also, she played like shit, I remember correctly. Yeah, that's why those leaks happen, sadly, and fortunately, this is a. With The Witcher not being a live service, it's kind of got an advantage here. So I guess it can overcome those sort of leaks. And people will probably respect it, obviously, they'll ignore the leaks, they'll do everything they can to kind of take it down and stuff. Or obviously see the Project Red reveal it themselves, it's like, how the fuck is this guy? Yeah, that's the thing I also kind of find dumb with the Hoyoverse games and stuff. When they sort of do the sort of testing, they have like a beta server, I think, where players go to test characters, and then obviously it gets leaked because someone is anonymously putting that out there. That's fucking nuts. Yeah, like obviously some big YouTubers who have access to the servers will be doing that. It's just not surprising. But they could have fixed it by revealing their exact kit, and even then revealing the sort of damage numbers they do, but again, it's all self-defeating, and it really proves that their system is broken. So they actively nerf previous characters and buff newer ones. on purpose, and that again is a problem with the game. That's mainly why the leaks were good. And you could also see players testing it properly, like they show off the gear, they show off how they built a character and the talent levels and stuff, and then you see the damage, it's like, oh, that's a nice old 60k there, 60k vape or whatever it is. Because that is like extremely powerful, and then people will be able to determine, do I want this character for obviously power purposes? It's either like a yes or no. That's essentially why that happens. So yeah. I don't really know what else to add there, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not gonna be that hyped about the Witcher 3 expansion here. I think I'm just gonna be quite neutral on it because we don't know for certain what it's gonna have, if anything. Also, if it's like a book story, then it might not be one I play, to be fair, because even though it's interesting, it depends on what it has, and I'd probably rather watch other people play it. But yeah, I also just don't have the time. Like, still getting delayed on things, still getting struggling and stuff. So yeah, sort of rough really. Still to do like Final Fantasy 14 today. Speaking of which, I didn't fucking open it. I need to queue for Alliance raids for Heaven's Wall. Hopefully that shouldn't be long over. But yeah, let's move on. Where's the fucking stop recording button? Sorry for the background noise in the background. I felt talking about this because I'm starting to think maybe I'm wrong about Pokemon. As in, it is a franchise which is embarrassing itself nearly every release they do. But I seem to forget one important factor, which actually is, despite how bad it looks, it can still be enjoyable with the gameplay. So I was thinking about this, looking at the Scarlet Violet soundtrack and also seeing a few of the areas, and I've seen playthroughs of it. I don't remember much, and then I see like some of the areas actually look nice and vibrant despite the failure in graphics. So it makes me wonder, what is there just more enjoyment in the gameplay than there are the graphics? Because obviously the Pokemon won't look too flawed for the most part. So it has to be a case where no matter what, it just has to play it well. Because I'm kind of finding this with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. And I've just gone past that foresty area. It's taken me quite a while. It took me like 3 or 4 treadmill runs, 50 minutes each to get out there. But I was trying to capture things too at the same time, and obviously there's battles there. Also met Steve the Fisherman, I think, who has 6 Magikarp. That's an extremely difficult battle. I can't believe it. Somehow one of the Magikarp dodged my rock tomb. Yeah, brilliant. But seriously, I think the magic with Pokemon is that it's kind of chill, but also can be tense and can be interesting to play. Because even just as a single player experience, it's still pretty much quality because you got so much in that, you got so much bang for your buck. And where Brilliant Diamond Shining Power really ironically shines and brilliance, it's the amount of NPCs and stuff, and obviously it's just a remake, although I'm not stupid. I am stupid, but it literally feels like a game, and that's what's most important here. Because when the gameplay is there, I think things become secondary. And that's sort of why I mentioned years ago that I would be on board with the idea of having Nintendo 64 style graphics and stuff if it meant a good game could come out of it, and it does happen on PC, which is where I was referring it to, but it's because it happens on also Nintendo consoles. It's a bit of a different situation, because as I said, they could have done a different art style. They could maybe even add an alternative mode where you can download the alternative Pokemon Scarlet Violet and get basically a better graphics version. So it's like low poly stuff and less texture, and more based around obviously having a style. And I think that could be an optional thing. But yeah, but the gameplay elements seem like they could be the most enjoyable aspect of it. It legit has me wondering if I want to try Pokemon Legends Arceus, because I haven't played that ever, and I was sort of thinking like I'm not going to touch a Pokemon game until they obviously fix the graphics, but nobody even brought up the argument that the gameplay could be enjoyable. At least if they have, I've forgotten it, didn't really process it. But upon playing this, using Diamond Shining Pearl, I'm realising that. Exactly that. At the end of the day, I'm playing a game, and that in itself takes priority over the graphics, always. But again, it's different when it comes to a PC game, because you sort of expect, not necessarily high-end, but you expect it to be at least visually pleasing in a way, and not exactly like high-end sort of graphics or ultra-realistic. So I think that's really important to acknowledge with those sort of things, and even then, I play games with just very strange graphics and they turn out fine. Zero Galactic is the best example of this I can think of. It's like a low poly thing and you can see all the like points to everything. But it works. It doesn't matter that the characters aren't curved. It literally is still fun regardless. And it plays so well. I've not really ever had any crashes. If you look at a game like TF2 for example, where it itself is cartoony, it also is low poly. Not many people realise it, but it's optimised to run on CPU specifically, strictly, and it's one of those games where it's like low poly enough that old systems can't run it. So I'm never looking for the most fancy looking things there are in terms of games. That's never really a priority for me. And even then I've got a game on my phone that I want to play at some point, a puzzle game, called Hoyoverse? No, Hoyoverse? I can't remember. But is that one I was talking about, the indie developer who had his idea stolen by Hoyoverse, it seems. Which is, yeah, that's scummy. But that game has so basic graphics that it doesn't really warrant a criticism because it is just a style. And yeah, I think there are probably ways you can improve it, but the point is, it's not always about spectacle, it's about the quality of the gameplay. And weirdly enough, it's not, I don't know if it's even related, it might be cringe, but I was thinking of like a creative way to make a Pokemon battle in a story. And I wondered how myself, as an evolution expert, trader, or whatever, as streamer, vlogger, whatever you call me, I plan on making artwork related to that, by the way. But what would I do in a battle that would surprise my opponent, given that they focus on the competitive advantages of Pokemon? And I think the best way I can probably visualise it is it's about your Pokemon's quality, like training your Pokemon through quality rather than quantity, because that's sort of the way to beat the competitive mindset. Because if you teach your Pokemon how to fight like several times a day, it's not going to learn much. But if you teach them about quality, so you use Pokemon who have maybe a type advantage over them or something, then they start to learn from that. That's the quality training. So it's like pitting, for example, Flareon against Glaceon, but Glaceon has to learn from this experience, so there's training around that. But then there could be even a crazier example with, is Grass weak against Bug? I'm pretty sure it is, but you know, like a flying bug, the film versus one of them would be pretty insane. And I can see that working pretty well. But this is the potential of that sort of thing. But it's the same with games, weirdly enough. It's about the quality of the gameplay more than it is the quantity, let alone the graphics settings. Again, there are improvements to be made, like animations feel pointless when they're just a Pokemon standing still and not doing anything. So that's like one place where it sort of needs work. That's the sort of thing I'm thinking of with regards to quality over quantity. Again, gameplay being the biggest first and foremost thing. So yeah. I'm talking about that really. So again, it sort of justifies my interest and potentially a purchase of, again, like another Pokemon game, which I've very much got in my sights as a result of that. It has that potential to it that I think it could be beneficial. I don't know. Could be wrong, could be right. Also, an update on the soundtrack. I'm still looking exactly for what the soundtrack names are. Soundtrack is where. It's very weird. Does this even have like the provenance stuff? It seems to just be scattered all over the place, and then no name is the same. Yeah, there is like a provenance. All of them. And this is that West. I don't have West for some reason. Unless that isn't a thing. Oh, there is. Okay. Just show. Weird search problem there. Yeah, I found a fucking play that's finally in 10 MST. Which how reliable this is in terms of quality, because the other one I found was bad. It was by the Daily Polygon. Yeah. By the way, I'm listening to this, I'm still going through it. Even then, like, that's the other thing, the music can contribute quite a bit to it. Because the music can be quite a heavy factor. I remember this with Danganronpa, for example, and how tense it made you feel. Because it literally was that sort of music. It was like, oh my god, I feel uneasy hearing this. It's like so creepy in areas. And yeah, it works well. And despite how graphically, I wouldn't say unpleasing it is, but it does have elements where it's like, yeah, this hasn't aged too well. But it works either way. That's what I mean with like quality over quantity. It's a visual novel fucking game. Like, what do you expect? It's going to be like that. It's going to have still images. It's going to have sprites somehow in a 3D environment. Just weird. But yeah, I don't know if it all starts, so let's move on. Are people taking data centers seriously enough? It's a question I keep wondering. So, this came to mind when I was considering what to do about data centers, because they appear everywhere and they're disrupting lives, as we know. But the solution isn't very simple, and that's because it requires physical interaction rather. But it's actually the physical inaction, because I can tie that with this. But the physical inaction is what's destroying the planet currently with data centers. Because people stand by idly and let it happen, just think, it's never going to happen, nothing going to change as a result of it, and then it does. And then you just get fucked. This is the problem. This is exactly why it's an issue. So, it's very bizarre to me that this is a thing, really. Because the solution is always so obvious. It's obvious what it is going to be. And I just don't understand why people are choosing to do nothing. when they could be doing something about this. And as we've seen with the prior sort of attempts at least targeting CEOs, like people are literally trying that, and it's possibly working out, I don't know. But it's crazy, because this is what's going to affect our lives and going to kill us. And essentially I wouldn't consider something like that attempted murder. It's more like attempted justice, because the way things are going, the callousness of CEOs, which is pretty much demonstrably proven now, it knows no bounds. So when something like this happens, again an attempt on life, or whatever it could be, it doesn't surprise me and it doesn't shock me. It should shock no one that it happens. And that's like pretty much demonstrably true. So yeah, but I think people can really stick it a step further, take it a step further, and they should go out there and change things for the better by getting rid of data centers. I think this is like one of the biggest things that can be done. So getting rid of data centers itself is extremely important, because they are the problem and they're going to be the danger as well. So it's obviously not just the people perpetuating it, it's people allowing it to happen. When they start construction on one, you shouldn't be like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and wait for it to topple over, which it probably won't. Even then, if it does, it's just a waste of components. In fact, you should probably steal from it, because at this point it's very valuable. I can actually see many benefits to that. If people can figure out how to get into data centers and find the components and stuff, and then also take them out, you're onto a winner there. But yeah, this is kind of the issue though. It's also increasing the price of components. So, in this case, physical interaction, again, it's just not a bad thing. It feels absolutely necessary. It's just the way that the world is going at the moment, and how things have been going for a while. Again, it's sad that we're even in this situation. There's also, again, the risk that with AI data centers, AI can grow self-conscious and potentially fuck us up, fuck us over, like, big time. Like, seriously big. It's actually crazy how dangerous it is. Like, what are people thinking? Exactly. So obviously it needs to be dealt with. And again, I don't know the best solution, but to me, from a perspective of being someone who stays at home all day, the best solution is probably just physical interaction, so stopping these things physically from happening. Otherwise you just let in the Terminator, you just let in whoever the fuck it is. There's so much danger around that sort of mentality of just letting things be. I've been a big critic of that before, and that's for good reason. It's obviously because it has so many consequences. So yeah, what do I even say here? It's just kind of nuts to really think about. But obviously it's not a situation we want to be in. So yeah, I don't know what to say here. Other than I told you so, I guess, and also warned people about this before. So I've said before that it's a real issue. And it's been ignored, obviously, and that's why it's gone so out of hand. And Jesus fucking Christ, people, I warned you there are issues around this. You didn't even bloody listen. So now you only have yourselves to blame. Because that's all it comes down to. It's like everyone who chose inaction chose to let it happen. And And so everyone who enabled it is guilty, and ignored the warning signs. That's their problem. Even then, I met resistance when I used to protest about this, and get people saying it's inevitable, people saying, shut up, it's just going to happen, let people use it, even though it's creating rather undoing arts, as they are, which is a pretty harrowing thought, honestly, and frankly, unacceptable. Why is this even being allowed? It does not make sense. And even then, people seem to think there's again a magical solution, like, oh, the government will stop it one day, or there'll be something like, I'm not trying to think, maybe the police, I don't know, it depends on who it is, really. But that's the issue we run into here with this very obvious problem. They think sitting by doing nothing is the solution. Whereas people are, I'm pretty sure you know who you are. I pretty much know what I'm addressing with that. That's not going to change anything. It's not going to make things better. Sort of commend people for even attempting things like changing the course of the future, because that seems to be the only solution. It's just nuts, and even then, if there's like a sudden breakthrough, like, oh, there's a sustainable way to make AI better, faster, and less demanding, then I kind of still against it. It still depends on the issues that come up around it, because we can't look at the positives and think, oh yeah, let's only look at these, because the way we've done that over the past, what, 30, 40 years now, it's not done the planet any favours. And I'm 29, by the way. Industrialisation absolutely fucked this planet, and there are so many issues around what it's caused, because you can see the benefits, efficiency, accessibility, but in the end it's also completely fucking everything. It's just screwing everyone over as a result of climate change, as a result of increasing prices, as a result of inflation, as a result of even just other things like environmental factors, like trying to think, what's the thing called? Ecosystem, is that? I can't remember now. But I think it's something like the way that the ecosystem is. It's just, I don't know. Like, animals dying off, you're not really going to have any advantage to killing off entire species to extinction. So there's no benefit there. And then the planet starts to suffer. We start to see less animals, start seeing more of other things, which ain't a good thing, obviously. And the world's just getting fucked. Like, this is the thing, people bring up also that we're currently heading for like an ice age, I think it was. And the stupid thing is, people don't realise that an ice age is supposed to take place over thousands of years. Like, let's look up how long does an ice age take? Because this is the most important question here. Ice age is a period of lowers of temperature, expansion of polar ice, the time is applied. It's not the age. Thanks, Wiki. So the last one was approximately 29,000 years ago, according to Britannica. So yeah, so we're like heading towards that sort of thing. But the thing is, it's happening at a far greater expansion. So the fact is, it hasn't even been that long since we had it. It's just weird. But I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck is the age for 1,000 years. That's my thought. It's weird. Yeah, what's the timeline then? I'm trying to find it. See, they've got a graph here. It's got major glaciations. I don't know, it says like 4,600 to 1, so I'm guessing like 4,600 years maybe? I don't know, it's hard to say. But yeah, that's still concerning. And somehow they managed to measure like climate differences. 5 million years of climate change from sediment pools. And yeah, whilst it looks like the planet is getting warmer gradually, these days it's like dipping really fucking close. I think it's as recent as 0, I don't know. It's hard to say, again, I'm not the expert here, it's not worth taking my word for it. It's better asking someone who's actually educated on the topic. The ice age ends when the Earth is warm enough for the ice to cover, to recede, or for it to disappear to regions on the fringes of extensive ice sheets. Yeah, how long did the ice age last? Okay, maybe not a while. Began 2.6 million years ago and then ended, so it's about a few million years. So, yeah, given how fast we're actually spiraling towards another one, it's like, what the fuck? So this isn't good. And it's like, if we can even go to another one at that point. But yeah, again, people bring it up and they say that, oh, it's just the ice age, it's just coming. That's not the issue. You're accelerating it, you're not letting natural order take place. For example, in 10 years, you wouldn't expect a part of the map to be underwater. But the reality is, with climate change, it will be. Because that's what it's doing, it's accelerating the rise of the sea levels, it's causing the distribution of greenhouse gases and shit, emissions, like warming up temperature. It's just horrific. This is why it's such an issue, and then we should be seeing this rather than 10 years. We should be seeing it over the course of, according to that, like tens of thousands of years up to hundreds. So again, it's not a thing that should be taken lightly. It's something that should be taken gradually. So when we see that a house is being affected by sea level, for example, we have time to warn people. But in this day and age and climate, landlords, where they don't give a shit, we're going to see people drowning because, and they're also forced to pay. So they'll be drowning and then forced to pay for their rent when the house is now underwater. Which is an absolute fucking atrocity. It's genuinely awful. So that's where we start to see the issues. It's accelerating it to an extent we have not seen. Again, it's supposed to be gradual. Drill that into your head. So yeah. Anyway, do we have anything else to add? But that's it. So let's move on. I've just had one of the most bizarre doctor's appointments of my life, and that's pretty much an understatement. So I went for my sleep issues and other bits because I'm really struggling. It's mainly like stress as well. But I realised the issue is I can't really cope that well with this shit. So what's happening is just feeling the side effects of all that. Just piling on, being shit for me. It's becoming a real struggle. It genuinely is awful, and I don't know if it even like reduces my lifespan, for example. To be honest, at this point it's a good thing, because I just don't see it benefiting me any other way. There's that annoyance to deal with, which is another thing entirely. But it's one of those things I just feel like I need to get this dealt with as soon as fucking possible, because I am tired. I am stressed out. So I need this done. There's just no question about it. It needs to happen. So I went to the point I should explain this. But it's the most typical fucking NHS garbage I've heard. It's so fucking bad. It's so pseudo-scientific as well. It's bizarre. I've not really seen anything like this before. And that's really why it's so disappointing. Because it seems to be a case where I go in and I tell the issues. I already told them the issues because that's why I went there, the appointment. And it's not looking good because they immediately said, like, what can we do to help you? So I'm fucking here. I don't know what helps. It is so bad. I just do not understand the logic there. What do you mean, what can we... Like, how can we help you? That's why I'm here. I have sleep issues. So, yeah. Just doesn't really help at all. So that's another complication of that, I suppose. It's just really annoying. So I don't understand that. But yeah, I suppose that being repeated was playing on my mind and stressing me out. Because why the fuck are we even in this situation to begin with? Or why are you telling me this? Because I need the help. So we get somewhere eventually. CPAPs. Like, okay, I can maybe try a CPAP. So I've got, I don't know if it counts, but Pokemon Sleep, because, you know, I like Pokemon. But I haven't really ever tried a CPAP, and it might be a good way to sort of, like, ground myself to do something to get it done. So that could be helpful. So I'm choosing that. And apparently there's other ones out there, so obviously if that don't work, I'll try another. I tried one years ago and I hated it. It was like a sleep talk thing, I think, like a podcast. It was awful. That's before I discovered how to tamper the volume with an app on my phone. I use an app called Precise Volume because at the moment there's no reliable sources out there. Because the volume is too loud. Even at 5%, my phone is still too loud, so I have to use this amp to lower the volume. Basically go minus, and that helps. I put it all the way down to minus 12 and it really does work. It's actually pretty nuts. So I use that with Pokemon Sleep, obviously. So that's one thing, and then so I've got onto the stress, which is another part, and I've also explained what the issues are and how they possibly impacted me and connected. And there wasn't really any sort of agreement or disagreement, which was bloody concerning. Because what the fuck are you doing? You're supposed to be a doctor, aren't you? Or apparently a general practitioner, but not, you know, doing doctor stuff. It's absolute nonsense. It's unbelievably absurd. So yeah, that's another thing. So that's the other thing I was going to talk about. I can't remember now. Yeah, like the ways to deal with it. So one thing that was suggested was therapy, and I'm like, no, didn't say it, but I should have. But I found therapy just being completely useless in the long run, and that's just in general. That's for general things. So no, therapy is a no-go for that. But apparently there's types of therapy where you can turn off your brain, which is really useful, because I think that would be handy to have, because I could imagine going somewhere where there is, you know, that issue of, what do you call it, oh fuck, I don't know what's called it now, it's just completely left my mind. I'm doing two things at once here as well. Fuck, I'm gonna close that. Oh, I don't know. My mind's just blanked. But yeah, switch off my brain. That's a situation. So a situation ideally would be that I use this to address other issues, so things that literally stress me out in real life, in person, or whatever you call it. So that's another thing that could potentially really help. So I do see benefits to that, and that will be my sort of last resort sort of thing. What's the other thing? So the therapy. I think that was it actually. So I sort of already described I've changed my lifestyle a lot. I've been able to do things that I haven't been done before, like exercise and shit. That sort of works. But yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. It's the thing I'm finding with this. It's just difficult to address, and it plays on my mind, obviously. Yeah, but I do think the best option for me is to change my lifestyle. And also, I've got suggested to try sleeping pills and herbal sleeping aids. But I don't know how useful they are, given the reviews are kind of mixed on them. But sleeping pills, yeah, I'm just gonna have to give it a shot. I actually have some because I got given some, and I'm not going to say what they are. So apparently they're not very reliable in that way. I don't think they're like pharmacy proof exactly. I don't know. I was just given them given to me when I was going through a really stressful point in my life. And does it have an expiration? Shit, it does. Not sure if I should be worried. Does it really matter though? I don't know. It's one of those things, again, I'm sceptical about trying meds and stuff because it causes issues. Well, it's not just the side effects of them, it's just, it can cause complications as well. But with how desperate the situation has become, what choice do I have? I kind of have to take these now. Just so annoying. It feels like this shouldn't be a problem to begin with. It's become one because it's just the nature of my issues here, processes of whatever it is. Feels like this is the only thing I can do in this situation. This exact one. So yeah, it's also kind of scary in a way. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't know how to deal with this exactly. I have no clue. So yeah, don't really have anything else to add, to be honest. That's just everything I'm thinking of at this point. Yeah, that's just all the news I have on this, and the way I'm going to address it personally is just the sleep apps and the sleeping pill, I suppose. So I have no other choice there. It's not great. Quite frustrating. So yeah, anyway, I think I'll move on now. You know, I think there is such a thing as a doomsday timer, but it's not what you think. I think it's just technology that we're waiting for with a doomsday. So even though we've got climate change being a massive problem and seeing like somehow 49-degree temperatures in India, just fucking insane. I can't even handle 30. But this demonstrates an issue, and also I'd just like climate deniers to be shipped there. If they think it's not real, they should live in these countries. And then we take on the people who don't want to live there. That's a great trade. That deals with immigration, that deals with what I'd call infiltrators, especially fascists. who've infiltrated the system are people who just don't agree with things. So yeah. But I want to talk about this other doomsday thing, which I think is a technological, possibly a massive technological thing, almost like the 2000s, whatever you call that. I can't remember. But we're waiting for it with just a certain hack, like a certain day, certain thing, where the internet just breaks. And so what we'll see, as I'm predicting, with everything going on around the world, is probably going to see a world where everything is hacked and we just see footage of, well, Palestinians being killed, Iranians being killed, everything wrong with the world at the moment, and they see firsthand what's going on. They see the children killed, which is probably more of a thought provoker. You'll see it with news shows, you'll see it with kids channels, well, not news shows, but news channels, I mean. But it's literally the thing that we'll start to see. And that'll be the biggest fucking wake-up call there is, probably, until they obviously cut off these systems. Because obviously they're going to turn it off, but they'll try to, and then someone will keep it alive. Because they've already corrupted the world enough, and people are so fed up of how many untruths there are existing. And so people want to actually deal with it, actually get this problem solved. And they'll do it their way. And that's the problem here. So of course we'll see a situation, a scenario, where this happens, and if it's not like I say it is, then it'll be an occurrence of every other day, probably. It'll probably be happening more frequently. Because again, people are fed up, they'll find ways to intercept things. Because of AI, we also will have the possibility of it being able to hack pretty much anything. Because nothing's ever 100% safe, ever. Even things like offline passwords, I reckon, probably won't be safe. There's probably a way around it. By obviously doing something to do with the operating system. Yeah. I literally see this coming, and I wouldn't be surprised at that point. Would I be mad? A bit, but it's a necessary sacrifice. It's one of those things. I think it all ties back to the first topic as well. Like climate deniers thinking it's not real. Well, we'll show you children dying of heat and animals dying of heat. You know, there's so many ways that people will get that drilled into your head. You won't escape it. You won't escape the consequences of your actions. And that's why I don't really treat fascists with the kindness or respect anymore that they seemingly want to have, but obviously they don't deserve it. You know, they're hateful, vile human beings who would laugh at rape of children, who would want immigration to disappear essentially. They're just horrible people. And even then, they threaten minorities with essentially genocide. So, why the fuck would anyone want get distracted. Yeah, why would anyone want fascists anyway? It doesn't make sense. I've even seen it discussed on the Triforce podcast, for example. Hyperion brings it up, and they had a brief political discussion recently. But it's like Hyperion brings up just saying that I don't like fascism, and people are saying like the most weirdest shit about it, saying don't get political with me. It's not fucking political. You know what fascism is, right? And Hyperion says that. And yeah, that shows the state of the world. It shows that people openly and willingly just trying to get someone killed and just a group of people hurt. And this is what the politics leads to. This is what fascism does. It kills people, it harms people. And there's not really a political viewpoint in that sense. It's just a broken politics. so it doesn't work out in the end, and yeah, it sucks. So yeah, I don't know what to add. It's just extremely frustrating. Again, I think we're just waiting for this moment, and whether it comes along is another question, but I just wouldn't be surprised. Again, if it does happen, why should I fucking care? Genuinely, it wouldn't benefit me to pretend that I care about this, because it's just like it's gonna happen. I'm not scared by it. I embrace it happening. Because the world is so fucking broken that people actually need to be shown the consequences of their actions. Even then, if it doesn't affect some people, I think we need to get them as fast as possible into custody, into prison, for obviously the crime of just being apathetic. I think there is a problem there. Obviously it needs to be investigated via psychology, but that's obviously to be done there. So yeah, that's basically all I have, so let's move on. So, major update on the music. I need to take a drink first. Fuck's sake, didn't mean to do this live over. Yeah, okay, that'll do. Just had to do that. But you know what's very strange is I said about music, and I was also really unhappy. I also had the doctor's appointment today, and I was sort of not feeling it at first, but then I started to get into the right mood again. Just got a relief, because frankly, more than like 3 days off a bad mood is pain. So I'm not a fan of that. And today I was working on my music, before I even went to the doctor's. I was updating my instrument template and figuring out how to mix things better, how to also remove the orange tears, as I call them, because that seems to be the thing that absolutely ruins the quality of my music. And I was making sure that everything is like clear and pretty obvious, I suppose. Speaking of which, I do need to try a pedal on the rhythms to see if that does anything, because I'm wondering if that's maybe holding me back. Like maybe add pedal to rhythms, maybe amplitudes, because there's some decent pedals, or maybe just guitar. I ain't used that in a while, but amplitude might be better because it's easier to refer to. But yeah, it turns out I've done a lot of work on the instrument template. I started yesterday, finished today doing the things I needed to do, updating presets and stuff, and I tend to write this down because I need to remember it, obviously, without forgetting. That's why I wrote it down. It sounds stupid, but surprisingly not a lot of people do that. It sort of reminds me of a thing I saw earlier, actually. Driving in the car to doctors, and fucking there's an idiot on the sidewalk with his bag hanging out onto incoming traffic. Like, what the fuck? I know when I'm walking that I need to put the bag behind me or in front when I'm navigating an area like that that's crowded. Which the road is crowded, usually. Especially where I live as well. Well, it's not even a fucking side road, it's a main road. But yeah, it's like obvious things like that just annoy me. It turns out with my music, there was one thing really holding me back in terms of mixing. And that was in fact the drums. What are you thinking? Like, what do you mean the drums? They sound fine, don't they? Nobody ever called it out. Nobody in the comments mentioned it. Turns out it was actually the drums. For some reason the preset I used didn't have the right EQs on it. It's almost like the preset just randomly assigned itself some EQs and just decided randomly that it needed to have new EQs or something. That's confusing. So I'll just do this quick. Yeah. So, yeah, I looked at a tutorial and I thought, Well, hang on, this preset sounds fine. So, what's the deal then? So I replaced the preset, I put a default one in, decided to go with the gent preset because I like gent. That's pretty much what my style is based on actually. You know, other than the harmonious chords, it's mainly to do with obviously the style of gent. I do have that as an element of my music and also the style, heavily inspired by Free and obviously metalcore, but mainly Dematory, which is also gent, by the way. Not many people realise it, but Dematory is kind of genty in areas, not everywhere. Yeah, used it. Immediately, not a single orange bar in both the mix or the drum itself. Just yellow at most, which is a fucking big step up. And it's crazy because then I applied this to an original I'm working on at the moment. It's called The Root of All Evil. I think is it called The Root of All Evil? Root of Evil. Okay, not all evil, just evil. Or Roots of Evil. That's actually the name. It's an interesting song because it's actually going to be an oxymoron. I don't plan on having anything about it that's sort of dark. It's still metal, but it's not dark metal. If that makes sense. It's like sort of my style in a way, and also a bit Napoleon-esque. I have to mention that. I fucking love Napoleon. It's such an underrated band. They also need more tabs and more fans, I think, because it's so good. I don't know if there's any controversy with the band. Having said that, it does worry me a bit. Because oftentimes when a band is like silent and that sort of quote unquote dead, it's a bit concerning. I'm not gonna lie. But I love the band's style. It's so unique, and I'm taking inspiration from that. I've taken inspiration from Dematory as well. And the actual riff that I came up with at the beginning of this actually is an original by me. I just came up with it when I was jamming. I wish I could play it though, I can't. But somehow I made this really cool metalcore bit. I don't know. I did it with a drop tuning, didn't I? Yeah, that makes sense. Because I went from like, what note is that? I can't remember now. I think it's maybe an F sharp into a an F? No, an E. An F sharp into an E. So it's, yeah, it's got that weird bit. It's complicated to explain, but it's a bit different and it works. I've already got some things figured out for this, and already with replacing the drums, which I was getting to, immediate difference. Literally night and day. But I have had to make adjustments again, so there's presets, so I've obviously updated it again. Didn't realise I could just save it. I've been doing save as all the time, like a complete idiot. I've been using this for 3 fucking years and I didn't know that. So I saved it and stuff, and yeah. Also it's sounding good, and I'm even doing the chorus now, like it's actually sped up my process a bit. Because it allows me to define the riff a lot better and add feels better as well, because it's less muddy and more clear. Because previously my drum set wasn't very clear before that. But it's crazy how much of a difference that has made. I've also added a limiter onto my leads, so there shouldn't be any of those really high pitched notes which keep appearing now. I'm hoping there aren't any at least, but I will try to keep an eye out for that. For some reason there's been a weird issue with, I don't know if it's amplitude or what, but like perpetuates the highest note for some reason, that sustains it. I don't know where that even comes from. It's so fucking annoying because it hurts my ears. Yeah, well, either way I'm happy. For once I feel like there is progress in the music, which I didn't feel before. I'm also working on an interesting cover coming up, which I think might be good and might be not good. I have an idea for like the breakdown a bit of it. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add. But also, I just want to make the music better so that I can make originals a lot better. I still have my unused riff section, and that's probably going to be the part that I take some of the most things from. Although, to be honest, because it's melodies, it's a bit difficult. I guess I could keep the shapes. What the fuck is this? Just chromatic metal riff. I need to review these again because I reviewed it a while ago and removed a lot of things, but it seems to not work properly. With that chord progression, yeah. It's just different things to figure out these to get it to mix. Wait, is it removing the loops on it? No, okay. I thought for some reason it's removing the sorry. I'm just going to explain that next topic. Yeah, it's interesting riffs. I've got one here that uses a weird scale. It's like 4 gaps in between each note, which is pretty nuts. I need to make a riff of that actually. Yeah, it's just got so many different riffs here. It's about how many bars? 378. Fucking hell. That was an interesting one I was going to try as well. Got one that's in East flat standard. Not called J Volumes, I know what that is. I should use that one. We've even got non-guitar riffs here. I'm try to make a sort of East sounding riff. A Vacuum Sound Team riff with a piano, and I've got another synth one here. It's more like periphery, like. Can't delete that. But it's good to remember some of these things, some of the sort of riff patterns I like. God, that's an idea for a solo. I think I found the solo chord progression. There's the riff I used. It's like B, B, B sustain, B, on mute, and then it's like a harmonious chord sign from, is that E? It's like F sharp, I think. F sharp, G string. I can't music theory. I'm better at looking at numbers. It's like 4220. Yeah, I've used this riff, so I can go. Yeah, try to make the process as efficient as possible and also as interesting. I never use it for my metal covers because it's mainly just one of those things I figure out on the fly. That's the other thing. I tried to mix according to Demetori. I use Ghostly Eyes as a sort of standard, maybe not the best example for that, but I think I've got it. Got the synth slower as well, so that should improve my music moving forward. So things are more clear for the guitars themselves. So that is like the focus. I've also recorded some sounds as well. I forgot to mention that. I managed to make 2 different sounds. I think one of them I tried was really goofy, and I want to have that because it'd be funny to have that in a breakdown. But it's a technique I call the fretless, I guess, because it kind of is. It's not the one where I bend it under the neck, which is different. There's a different one I figured out. You have to pick over the open strings and then you pluck it. But I did it with 2 picks essentially. Which are, yeah, kind of cheating, but it works. It makes a really weird fretless sort of sound and it's goofy. But the other one is like a sound that I'm pretty sure every guitarist just tried at one point. It's like playing at the pegs. It's kind of nuts in that sense. Some really crazy riffs here. Go for the chord progressions. That's that chess chord, isn't it? It's a fair chord progression. I'm listening to some of these just thinking, what the hell am I thinking? Yeah, there's quite a few there. Other ones I've got not guitar. It's just gent. I've got to add that in A string one. Got an interesting sort of arena metal chord riff. For some reason, another guitar. Which one that's about? I managed to make a temple theme. Oh, well, that's crazy. Someone mentioned alt tap as well. Alternate tapping, I mean. That was spacey sort of sounding riff. Seemed pretty easy to make. Yeah, anyway, I think I need to move on. But basically, as the updates, I've managed to crack the case in it. And I do think it's worthwhile. I think it's something that could be generally beneficial for music as well. It's worth going back to these things. Because you can just have benefits. You never know, I'm gonna keep updating, keep improving, that's basically how I manage. Can't think of anything else that could be to do on that. Not to my knowledge, unless it's like... I probably want to explore the world of like clean tones and overdrives. I don't know, do I? I mean, even clean chorus, actually, I could look into that. Because I'm curious about updating the clean chorus tone, because I use heavier effects. Explore amplitude 5 clean chorus. I could do that in the cover I'm making at the moment, which would be good because probably using that in this. What else could I do? I think, considering I could do a clean as well, like clean for leads and rhythms. And probably amplitude 5 again, because that's the only one that's going to have a decent amount of tones and also the tone search. Because that's actually been a very useful thing. I've been able to find a bass tone I like and tune it to my liking. So I've got this sort of middle ground between the plucky bass and also heavy sort of bass end as well. That sort of works. Yeah. Don't mean to not discuss music often, but just really depends on what it is. Because sometimes it's about bands, sometimes it's about other things. Also, I found out today something really annoying. Apparently, Periphery has a lot of their songs held hostage by Sumerian Records, which is annoying. I imagine it's the same for Animals as Leaders, because they're also... well, they have tracks from there. Which also sort of explains why they maybe changed style a bit. I don't know, it's a real shame though, because some of the best music from those guys is actually from this record label, which is just baffling. And also I feel sort of sorry for the people who just rely on Spotify, because I'm like, if you can't have it physically, what's the fucking point? You can't enjoy music without having ownership or part of it. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that's spoken enough on that though. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Well, time for a gassy topic, because it's about gas. No, not the one that you bump through your house at winter, but rather the one that comes out your hiney. Is it called hiney? Pretty sure that's what hiney is, isn't it? Hiney means ass. I don't know. But I also call it like the back vagina. Anyway, this is a weird topic because again it relates to Crohn's and how I struggle with it constantly. But I had a realisation when I just let one through while standing in the kitchen where obviously I could have a housemate walk in at any moment and get a whiff of that fucking horrible smell. But it made me realise that actually it may be bad mannered, but it's also a good sign. Because if I can somehow explain it to people that when I get gas related to, or when I'm having a flare up, it is actually a positive thing. Again, it's not a nice smell, but it means at least I'm able to pass gas, because before it wasn't possible with like Crohn's disease and stuff. But it means that it's obviously my system working as it should. Because I don't often pass gas. In fact, it used to be quite rare, but like last year. But even then, I think the fact that it happens means there are some positives there. It also means that I'm not shitting myself constantly, and that's a good sign. Because the moment I feel like there is something there, I also do have to sort of move. I'm going to move on rush to the toilet. But it does mean that I'm better off by releasing the gas. It means that I'm actually safe. Because that means nothing's coming through. At least as far as I know, like, what does gas actually mean? Like, what do farts actually mean? Flatulence, oh, that's what, wait, is it? I didn't know that's what flatulence was. Expulsion of gas from the intestines via the anus. Commonly referred to as farting, flatus, vertical stomach bowels. Proportion of intestinal gas is swallowed at environmental air, hence flashes is not tightly generated in the stomach or bowels. Scientific, okay, that doesn't explain it. What about Wiki? Symptoms, fatigue and pain, and excessive volume, cause intestinal gas composed of varying quantities of exogenous and endogenous. The exogenous gases are swallowed when eating and drinking. Endogenous is produced by byproducts, digesting certain types of food, or incomplete digestion. This is a case of steatorrhea. What the hell? Steatorrhea. So, I don't know. It seems to imply here that it could be things passing, but I don't know. I think, to me at least, it's a positive when it's not the food coming out. And that's the big point here. When it's not fecal matter, it's obviously better. It has to be. Because I don't see why there's any point in farting then, like, it just seemed dangerous. Wait, what the fuck? Okay. My shorts are already breaking and I only got these like 5 months ago. It's fucking annoying. These are pyjama shorts as well. Pretty sure I spent a bit of money on them. I don't know. Getting an itch though on my joints, which is not good. Yeah, it's weird. I was getting itches on my hands. Where the fuck are these coming from? It seems to just get inflamed every now and then on my skin. Yeah. By the way, I just wanted to mention it. I think if you're with Crohn's or if you have any sort of bowel or digestive issue, I reckon farts can actually just be a good thing. If you're able to pass that rather than obviously stool, it's probably better for the most part, unless it's constipation. Which obviously is an entire thing in itself, another issue. I do find this to be a benefit, obviously. It's just sort of my way of getting around to it. I suppose it's like being relieved. So yeah. I don't really know what else to add, except I'm gonna address an issue actually with that. I think when I'm done tomorrow doing anything I'm gonna do, going shopping, eating out, I'm probably gonna get my. Oh, wait, I have to. No, I do have some stuff there first, actually. I'm gonna have like my fibre gel and try to help my digestion because I've had really bad sort of shits lately, like not coming out properly, not coming out at all. So I need to get that dealt with, and so I'm gonna try that. I'm also gonna try another thing which I got recommended. It's not a laxative, it's just a softener, but it comes in a capsule form, which is honestly really convenient because I fucking hate making the fibre gel. It's a pain and it really plays on my OCD a lot. It literally is one of the worst things. I don't mind the taste, it's actually nice, but I don't like making it. It's annoying, especially when you drink it, there's still bits left in it. Like, come the fuck on, get out already. So annoying. Yeah, I'm not gonna put anti-itch cream on that again. Didn't work last time. I need to get a different anti-itch cream. I need to use this one up, I think, and then get a new one. For some reason, this anti-itch cream I got just doesn't do anything, and the one I had previously, which was like a... I forgot what the brand is called. It's where I rhymed with like latex or had something similar. But it worked well. Also, when I used to live in my first house, I found the trick to get rid of itches was actually extremely hot water. Like, yeah, it hurt, it probably burnt my skin off a bit, but it did the job. They genuinely did like stopped it efficiently. Where is that rain? Other things didn't. I swear there's fucking rain outside. Let me open an ear. A sec. I think it is rain. I can smell it. It's like a damp smell. Anyway, I think I better move on then. That's a gassy topic, I guess. My Hero Academia Vigilantes. So this was a strange one to watch because I would have thought they would have just stopped making the series. But instead they sort of are milking it out with this additional story. It's like a seemingly follow-up to, well, actually prequel rather, to the actual series, although I don't think it is actually a prequel to be fair. It's just based on what I've seen, I could be wrong. But it's somewhat interesting. It takes place before UA High, class, I forgot what class they are now. Class 5, was it? I think it was them, but anyway. So yeah, I went into the series a bit skeptical, especially the first few episodes, because whilst it had some interesting characters and gimmicks, it was a bit sus, in my opinion. I was just not feeling it with this series, and the only good things with it were probably the animation and the comic book effects. I did quite like that. They actually have like the text appear on the screen when there's action sometimes, so there's like a why is it like a clang? Or, I don't know, like a clang or something. There's some sort of effect, but it shows up every now and then. It's kind of cool. And the characters are sort of an interesting cast too, for sure. They're a bit different than what you're used to with quirks in this series, that's for sure. But there's an interesting story behind it as well as it goes along. But in my opinion, it doesn't start to pick up until about episode 8 or 9, which is a big problem for the first series. So it's kind of a whole nothing bow until that point, but eventually it does explain what the first lot of episodes were actually about, and it all connects some way. Which is kind of interesting. A bit predictable though, it has to be said. So I do find that a bit annoying, but it's kind of cool that they are taking a sort of Western approach with characters like Captain Celebrities, you'll see later, and there's also just the whole comic book style itself, which adds a pretty unique aspect to it, and makes it feel again more like a comic. So yeah, that's like one interesting element for it. So would I recommend it? So I have to address the first perspective of a fan. Would a fan enjoy this? Possibly. I will say you get to see some interesting characters who were pretty much mentioned or cameoed in the actual anime. I won't name names, but there is one there who you will see. But there are some interesting interactions between the heroes in this series as well, which you don't see, or at least I can't remember seeing in the anime. So there are some interesting bits with that. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else there is. I guess the action is not all there, to be honest. I think every episode has a bit of action, but it's not like a shit ton like you might have expected. Given that it's again like a fucking superhero sort of show. Yeah. Also, as the story implies, it's about that stuff. I'm also a bit confused. I need to look this up actually, because Popstep mentions something really interesting in the series, and I'm wondering. So yeah, I was just thinking. So I thought she was someone else for a moment, but no. Just kind of lucky. Yeah, so the wiki just fucking spoiled one of the things. Okay. That's a bit weird. What is with this fucking wiki? Don't go to the fandom for pop step. I think it just spawned something really major that I haven't seen yet. It's just really annoying. But again, I don't see how it can unfold. That's the only thing. But yeah, like again, if you're a fan of the series, I think there is something to like about it. Again, up until episode 8 where it really picks up. But before that, it's just kind of meh. I felt very on the fence about the episodes up till that point. There's certainly mysteries as well, as you can expect. But yeah, I think I could recommend it to fans, but for non-fans, no. I'll just say it outright, because it's a world in itself, and I think you do need like prior knowledge to the sort of series in order to understand what's going on here. And also how their quirks work, because they don't always explain it. That's a weird thing, even though it's sort of posed as before the events of obviously the anime. They don't explain everyone's quirks, so you have Osawa there, who, no surprises there, also has a sailing quirk, and I don't think that's explained at any point. Could be wrong. There's also All Might, there's also, how's the other one? Oh, Mike guy, I can't remember, just call him Mike. Mike and Mike, I don't know. But he's, Midnight's there somehow. Endeavour's there briefly. It's just, you see characters there, you see some of their quirks, but they don't explain it as well. It's just the most bizarre thing. I do think that there is potential here. Again, it's not the best place to start with My Hero Academia, but there is something to enjoy, I think. And again, it's like, watch with caution is probably my advice. Because again, it takes a while to get going. So yeah, as far as anime goes, it's kind of different, but not massively. It's not notable enough. But again, episode 9 was the one that really hooked me, and I swear it is like referencing other series out there. Like, it's weird actually, because there's sort of a Western influence, and then obviously the Japanese influence of other series that exist. I swear 2 of the like really side characters are references to a certain popular shonen, I think. I think it's pretty obvious which one, especially the hat and the hair. So yeah. Anyway, that's the series, and I guess that's the podcast actually. Gone on for a while here. What's this going? So yeah. Thanks for watching, I suppose. Let's see you next time. Maybe. I don't know. Hear you next time.